Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, hit the like, share button. Please subscribe to the channel as well. Retweet if you're over on Twitter. We're here to talk about Jadon Sancho to Man United. This morning, big news out of Germany that a price had been agreed for the player. And interestingly, Michael Zorg, the one of the, I don't know what they refer to him as, the director of football, one of the main decision makers at Borussia Dortmund, has come out and spoken, confirmed the reason why Jadon Sancho was not involved. It says here the Dortmund chief, Michael Zorc, has admitted that before the game, he was concerned about Jadon Sancho's future. We'll delve into that in a little bit more detail. On top of that, Sancho himself has liked the story we told you this morning. Jadon Sancho liked it. Jadon Sancho liked the story that we brought to you this morning. This deal, in my opinion, is getting closer to being finalized. I think we're a matter of a few days, maybe a week or so away from something being formally announced by Dortmund in relation to the departure of Jadon Sancho. The likelihood of him staying in Germany next season, I think, is exceedingly low. I really, really do. But as ever, your views, your opinions matter more to us than anything else. But he told Dortmund that he wasn't in the right frame of mind. He wasn't feeling right. He didn't have the energy to play on Saturday. So they dropped him from the matchday team. The chief at the club admitted that he's concerned about the future of Jadon Sancho. Dortmund have issued him some stark checks. There's been fines handed to him. They're not happy with his behavior. There are now big reports out of Germany that the fee has been agreed to. That exact tweet and that exact story, Jadon Sancho himself has come out and liked. For me, this all sounds exceedingly positive for Manchester United Football Club. I have to say, I know rivals are not going to like it. I know rivals are, oh no, he's not. I've seen people today saying he's overrated. Absolute craziness, in my opinion. But I want to hear from you. I want your views and opinions. You can find the link in the description below to call in and speak to us if you want to get involved. It's not there yet. Please hit the like button. Comment here says overrated. Yeah, and I just listen. I can't clearly see everybody's emojis, but there we go. Chelsea fan here said even Hazard liked to post. Havertz did. Yes, and I think Havertz is very close to joining Chelsea. And I said the same thing. It isn't just a random liking of a post. It's the entirety of the story. It's the entirety of the story. There's no doubt about it. Cameron here, one of our members, says can't wait for that number 7 kit, and that's it as well. That is it as well. It's that number 7 kit. I'm so convinced he's going to be, and this is different. There's me having an opinion, and then there's basing things on what I've been led to believe and told. In December, I tweeted, got a lot of stick for it at the time, that Jadon Sancho had changed his mind and was willing to join Manchester United. That United were going to look to get the deal done. They started conversations in January. They couldn't get things resolved in that period of time. They were going to wait until the summer. Those conversations with the player have continued. Conversations with the club are now going to start. It's highly likely that he becomes a Man United player, but that doesn't mean it can't fall through. It doesn't mean that it can't fall through, but United seem to be leading the way as it stands right now. Big D here says a lot of salt in here. Of course there is. And this is the thing. Jadon Sancho, I'll give you an example. I don't know what Have Hope has said about him in a while, right? But Have Hope used to literally say to me, like, Sancho is the only talented English player out there. And I think he was basically saying that because he thought Sancho wouldn't ever come back to England. Guarantee you, even he has changed his mind about Sancho. Whenever Man United get linked with a player, he suddenly becomes overrated. We see this this morning. A lot of people, Harry Maguire, 80 million, not worth it. He's nowhere near the standard of past centre-backs, Rio, Vidic, blah, 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 blah. People always take things out of context here. Just because a player costs 80 million pounds in 2019 or 2020, it doesn't mean that they have to outperform a player like Rio Ferdinand, who cost just over 1/4 of that money, 1/4 of that money. The economical differences in football have been so dramatic in that time. If you were to instead of inflation, if you were to put if you were to apply the reverse to that to the football, economic system, so you were to put it into a recession, by the same percentage of growth, Harry Maguire's transfer would have been about between 12 and 15 million pounds. Now, when Rio Ferdinand was joining Man United for nigh on 30 million pounds, if you were signing a player for 12 to 15 million, would your expectations be the same? No. In this current climate, 80 million pounds is the going rate for a very good centre back. 120, 130 million, depending on the contract, is the going rate for the players like the Rio Ferdinands of this world. In fact, Rio Ferdinand, if you were to increase his transfer fee by the 450%, I've done the maths, the 450% growth in the economic system of football, his transfer fee would have been somewhere in the region right now of 165 million pounds. So context is important. The same thing is about Jadon Sancho. I keep hearing, 100 million pounds, 90 million pounds for a 20-year-old is too much money. It's no different to what these sensations at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 were going for 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's just inflation's done it. And for you and me as working class people, we can't get ahead around these sums. Let's jump into a number of the calls that are now coming through. Here we go. First of all, Shane on the line. Shane, what's your thoughts about these two stories, the price being agreed, Sancho liking that story, and the comments that have been confirmed by Dortmund that essentially he's refusing to start at the football club?
Well, I think we all know that Sancho wants to leave Borussia Dortmund, and the only real chance of Man United not getting this deal done is the fee. But I heard a story this morning that some Dortmund fan that said that Rashford's the only player on Sancho's level that plays for Man United. So I don't really agree with that, but I think that Sancho will come because of the fact that I think Dortmund want to sell him so they can get some funds in, and Man United want him desperately.
Yeah, look, I think that I think Rashford is one of the most criminally underrated players across, across Premier League fans. We had the American chap, Josh, that come on that was hating on overhyped English players, it's of course the English players get spoken about more if you're watching English television stations, English channels, if you read the English media, because there's a national interest. I've read, Ireland, which is, I know where you're from by your accent, has some of the same newspapers as the UK, as an example, but the back pages are different. Why are the back pages, why are the headlines different? Because there's different national interests. Same newspaper, but they change the headlines. Why? If you read like the Irish versions of the British papers, as an example, there's far more focus on the Irish. Like, you'll often see like pages of articles on a lot of the Irish players in the Premier League that, no disrespect, could be an average club, but because they're part of the Irish national team, the Irish populace, they want to know about what the young Irish players are doing over there. And that makes it, and the same will be said in Scotland. There's always going to be a focus on that. And a Rashford and Jadon Sancho on the left and right hand side of Man United's attack is, without doubt, it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. And I think the reason why so many rival fans are upset is because they know this is to be true.
Yeah, some people might not agree with me on this, but I think Martial, Rashford, and Sancho has the potential to be the best from three in the world. I really do, because they're all very, very quick. They can interchange a lot because they're all quite fluid, and they all possess different qualities. Like, I'd say out of the three, Martial's the best finisher. I'd say Rashford has the best shot on him. I'd say Sancho links to play up as well. So they all have different qualities. So I think it'd be a great move in all parties because of the fact that Dortmund will get money, and Sancho does seem like he wants to come.
Yeah, of course. No, I totally agree. I think that, as you say, they've all got their differences, but at the same time, when as a collective, it works well. That fluidity is going to be key, because I think when you look at those players, if for 10 minutes of the game, Martial finds himself out on the right or on the left, you're not worried. An example I would give is Harry Kane and Haaland. I think I rate them both very highly, but I wouldn't want to see either of them out on the left or out on the right for periods of too long in the game. I wouldn't want to see that. What you get with those front three, and I'm not saying it's going to be as good, But Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo is my favorite attacking lineup in Man United history because of that very reason. It's that fluidity. You wouldn't be worried about one of them being caught out of position because they could cover one another. And maybe that's Ollie's train of thought around what he's trying to create. And on top of that, when you add Sancho to the mix, we saw the difference when Fred comes off and Paul Pogba plays at the weekend. You know, or on Friday night, we saw the difference because and Fred's a good player. Pogba is just next level. If you think about all the periods in that game where Dan James had the ball in dangerous situations, if you throw a player who is twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times as good as him onto the ball, more will come off. You know, a player that can dribble better, a player that can cross better, pass better, you know, has a better shot, has a better touch. You're going to see the team elevate itself. And I think that's what the issue a lot of rival fans have. They literally hate on this story more than you could ever imagine. You know, and when Sancho was being heavily linked with Liverpool about a year ago, heavily linked with Chelsea, there was this like, oh, he's this, he's that, he's the other. As soon as it's Man United, straight away, he's overrated. And do you know what? I love it. Do you know what? Someone said it earlier, and I'll stand by. Someone, I think on the show, said it yesterday, every day same. And I'm nicking what he said. If scoring in 117% of the games that you're playing, you know, it means you're contributing more than 1 goal per game. If that's overrated, give me 11. Give me 11 overrated players at that level. I don't care what rivals think. And this is where Man United fans have got to be strong, Shane. Is we have got to stop being suckered in by these fake Man United accounts that are really run by Tottenham fans, run by Liverpool fans, run by Arsenal fans. Throw negativity out about the club every day. Stop falling for that and being weak and just go, do you know what? My team's moving in the right direction. You know, me and Aaron had a little exchange today. You know, I'll try and get Aaron on the show a little later on. You know, but he was disappointed with our result of the weekend. I'm like, mate, don't be. You know, we were away to Tottenham. Only Arsenal's return fixture against City was more difficult than that in this last 5 days since the Premier League's returned. Yeah, the hardest game. We weren't away to relegation cannon fodder. We weren't playing a team like Everton yesterday. We're playing Liverpool. We've got nothing to play for. You know, even playing City is easier now than ever before because there's nothing for them in the game. United had a really tough match against a top 4 rival away from home. And we were very, very good across large parts of that game. We only didn't win because of a few great saves from the goalkeeper and a mistake from our backline collectively. When we find our feet, we are going to be flying. There's no doubt about that in my mind. We were playing a lesser team than Tottenham. If we were playing a Brighton, if we were playing a Villa, if we were playing a Southampton and Norwich, we would have put 3 or 4 goals past them and everybody would be in a positive mood right now. Drawing away at Tottenham in this situation, in this circumstance right now, isn't a bad result after having 3 months out. We saw how rusty Liverpool looked. And that's the problem our rivals have. And our fans, I think our fans are just a little too scared to jump on the Ollie bandwagon again and start to feel more positive. But listen, mate, I appreciate you coming on, Shane. I will speak to you again soon. We're going to add Ram to the stream now. Welcome, Ram. What's going on, bro? Are you there, Ram? Have you disappeared? Have you gone somewhere?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What's going on?
Yeah, my camera's a bit weird, so it's like cracking all over it. But yeah, I think if you're a Man United fan, I think you should be very, very excited about this player. I mean, I've said it so many times. This player, he has the utensils to be a great, like an England great, like national great. So I think this will be a good move for him. In my opinion, I think if he stays for one more season, it will be beneficial for him because I'm all for that. English players going to foreign countries, learning different styles of play. I think it'll be beneficial for him. But if he wants to move to United and he's desperate for it, then it's up to him. And if he wants it that badly, and I think from the last couple of months, he's been showing a lot of interest. I think you have a proper player on your hands because not only will he be a quality player, but he'll be fighting for the badge as well.
Oh, of course. And he wants, and this is the thing, this is why I know this. For me, I believe these stories are true in the sense of he's refusing to play, but he's doing it in a great way. Such good PR from Jadon Sancho. He isn't saying, I don't want to play for Dortmund anymore publicly or even like directly. Yeah. But yeah, Werner did it the right way. Werner was just talking about, he still praised his club. We're still talking about, this would be a dream. But Werner was more direct. I'd love to play for Liverpool. They're this, they're that, they're the other as an example. What Sancho's doing is it's PR based because it's a case of, I don't feel I can play this game. I'm lacking energy. What do you mean you're lacking energy? What he means is, I haven't got the motivation to play for you. You're making it difficult. You're stalling these conversations with Manchester United. I want to get this done. I want to know that I'm moving there next year. Although we know it might be October before the new season begins, I just want my future to be resolved. And Dortmund, of course, are trying to play hardball. But what Sancho is doing is also helping Manchester United, because the more of these situations that arise, the easier it's going to be for Man United to negotiate, because Dortmund will not want the player going into the last year of his contract. What Dortmund will try to do is drag this situation. And this is what United fans have got to prepare themselves for and remain relaxed. Is Dortmund may try to drag this deep and out and into the summer. However, that could change very dramatically if the player that Dortmund want to replace Sancho becomes available, or they can. Oh, actually, we've just had a breakthrough with the I don't know who they're going to sign. Let's just say, just for the sake of that dude that phones up, let's just say they're going to go back and sign Isaac. They're not, but let's just say they are, right?
Yeah.
If suddenly the Real Sociedad say, look, you guys can have him for 35 million, we've had enough. Suddenly Dortmund go, okay, United, are you still interested? Yeah, bush, bash, bosh, done. It's over and dealt with really, really quickly, as an example. And I think that's part and parcel of it. These things can sometimes be no fault of Man United why they don't get dealt with sooner. Equally, Man United are going to want the best terms possible for themselves. And if it takes an extra 6 weeks to get those things, then I think it's worthwhile. Where I draw the line is, I always like transfers done before pre-season, because you'd always love to have your new players in, meeting their new teammates for the pre-season situation. But that's going to be very different this summer. Man United could potentially, by the mid to end August, still be playing football. Pre-season is going to be starting in September. So it could just be a case of Werner to Chelsea, where the player just wants it done. Chelsea know that he's going to be coming in. And I think he's going to be with the Chelsea squad from the end of July. Chelsea are still going to have to go to Germany and play their second leg against Bayern Munich, which they're not going to win. I don't think they're going to win. But stranger things have happened in football. The irony
apparently Havertz thinks that they're going to do a miracle. They're going to come.
Do you know what? Me and Have Hope don't agree on a lot of things on football. The one thing I would say about Chelsea going into that tournament is, Chelsea, it's a long time. It's 5-6 weeks before that starts. Chelsea are going to be playing football regularly up until that point. Bayern Munich will not be. And that could be where the advantage is. If Chelsea, by the way, with 3 games to go, have secured a top 4 place, which could also happen, Chelsea can just taper themselves to go into that game and be properly match fit, where we've just seen what's happened. I know they won't quite be a 3-month layoff, but look how rusty the Premier League teams look after coming back. If their score was narrow, if it was 1-0 to Bayern Munich, and then Bayern Munich were going to have a 6-week layoff with no competitive football, and Chelsea were literally going to end their season and within a week or so play Bayern Munich, I think people would make Chelsea the favourites in that circumstance. It's only because it's 3-0 people don't. But if Chelsea score an early goal in that kind of game, and there is a little bit of rustiness that's back in those Bayern Munich players' legs, let's not be surprised at some weird shocks. I really, and it's equally why I look at Man City as being the team who are the favourites now for the Champions League, because they don't need to worry about the Premier League. They can use these remaining 8 games to get themselves in peak condition. Real Madrid, as an example, are Real Madrid still in, or are they out?
They're still in.
They're still in. But the point is, they're going to be like fighting their asses off to try and win the league still. So there's a difference in mentality. City can just reserve energy, but get themselves fully match fit and sharp, and then go all in to this like one-off tournament in the way it's poised. It's honestly, I'm so excited about the European football return. I know some people are trying to point out that there's got to be an asterisk. It's not the same tournament, but nor's the Premier League now. This isn't normal. It isn't normal to have 5 substitutions. It isn't normal. I mean, they've already looked at the statistics in Germany. It's already started to manifest itself that way in the Premier League. Home advantage seems to have disappeared completely. That's not normal. But yeah, it's going to be a real interesting turn of events.
I've got a question for you though.
Go on, mate.
It's about David De Gea. What would you do with him? Because you've already had your thoughts about him, but would you keep him just for player on the books, or would you sell him off to like an AC Milan or something?
I would sell him now. I've got to a point where I don't want to disrespect him. Do you know why I want him to go? If he stays there another year or two and these mistakes keep happening, it'll undo his legacy. I always feel like people should go out on the top. You know, if Wayne Rooney hadn't have broke Man United's goal scoring record, but had left 3 years earlier before he'd had 2 or 3 bad seasons, in some ways, I think more United fans would respect him. So, I care about David De Gea, so I'd like him to do it from that point of view. Equally, I look at Henderson. What you don't want is Henderson going, oh, look, there's a couple of other big clubs coming in for me. And, you know, maybe we could do a little bit there. But maybe we can find a loan move for Henderson. Do you know what's interesting? If David De Gea does stay one more year, do you know where I wouldn't mind loaning Henderson? I wouldn't mind loaning him to Arsenal. Looks like they're going to need a goalie for 12 months.
What about that? I think Sheffield United want to. There've been talks of Chris Wilder wanting to extend the loan deal for another season for next season.
And maybe that'll work because they're going to be in the Premier League. I would almost like, but the reason I say Arsenal is I'd like him to go to a club where he's going to feel pressure, where there's an expectation to win. Do you get where I'm coming from? But we'll see what happens. Ram, thanks very much for coming on, mate. We'll chat to you again soon. Take care. Next up, we've got K1 on the show. K1, you're the final caller. What do you want to say?
I just want to say a little thing about Jadon Sancho. I think this deal is just bound to happen. If it doesn't, I will shave my head. So everything points to us right now. Especially the thing that you mentioned, him throwing this little, well, I wouldn't say prams out of the trolley, but sort of throwing a little bit of spice down there for the PR stunt to sort of make this deal happening. But the only thing that concerns me about this deal is sort of Ed Woodward and Matt Judge. Like, will they, eventually muck this up? Or, because I see Chelsea, for the likes of Chelsea, they're doing their deals earlier on. Obviously, Liverpool did it with I think it was Mina Mano. So if we can do those sort of deals earlier on, then it will sort of give me confidence that this deal will go through. But it is about to happen. But
I wanted, I love people on social media. Simon here on Twitter is like, you say it was a done deal. Yeah, the deal between the player and Man United is done. We know that. That's the done. Do you know what I love about people, and I love how to do this, is they clearly listen to what you say, but yet they try and pretend like you said something else. Can you imagine? Imagine having that much energy in life to go, oh, I know Terry has said that there's no deal agreed between the two clubs yet, but I'm just going to pretend that he did. Imagine what's going through your brain to make up a lie. Sorry, it will make me die. Yeah, I agree. I think all roads point to Man United right now. I'm not concerned. I'm concerned it might fall through, but not at the fault of Ed Woodward and the board. The reason being is they've got their lives in order. They've sorted things out since Ollie's been here. Our transfer dealings have been brilliant. We're not always in control when it comes to the buying of players. You saw we didn't want to pay a lump sum for Harry Maguire. The reason we were forced into doing that is because Man City became heavily involved. The reason we're in such a powerful position here is in exactly the same reason that we were with Sporting Lisbon over Bruno, because players made it clear that he wants Man United. The players made it clear that he doesn't want to go to any other European club. So what happens is it's slim pickings in terms of a bidding war, and it's only when you get multiple clubs that are interested that the selling club can really dictate what happens, because they've got multiple options. If I've got 10 people that want to buy my house, but you're trying to drive the price down on me, but they're all willing to pay the asking price, you've got no leverage. Absolutely zero leverage. But if you're the only person who wants to buy my house and I have to sell it for all the reasons we said earlier on, the player is refusing to play, his contract's going to dwindle in the next 2 years, which means his valuation is going to plummet. They've got no real bargaining tools to stop Man United. All they've been able to do over lockdown is refuse to have conversations about it. But now Sancho's putting the pressure on them. All they're waiting for, Dortmund, in my opinion, is a Liverpool or a Chelsea or another club to come in and try and bid. But if Sancho has made it abundantly clear that he only wants Man United, which is what the likes of Fabrizio, David Ornstein have said, we're the major front runners, the players have with the club, Dortmund have got nowhere to go. And at some point, and it might take 6 or 7 weeks from here for Dortmund to crumble and agree. And sometimes what happens in these deals is this. You might have Dortmund say to Man United, 90 million, let's go for it. Yeah, that's the breakdown. Man United might submit their bid, and then Dortmund will just sit on it for weeks and not respond, in the hope that somebody else gets involved, in the hope that Man United go, oh, we just want this done. Look, there's an extra £10 million. Can we just get this sorted out, please? And it becomes a battle of attrition. And the problem that fans have is that the fans that moan about it either don't understand how it works or have never been involved in high-level negotiations before. These things happen all the time. You know, and I've negotiated multiple contracts in my life, and sometimes you just sit there and you're pulling your hair out, and it's like, well, actually, I just need to keep my cool because I know why they're sitting on their hands. Is they're waiting for us to come back and maybe lower our price? Well, I'm not going to lower my price. I'm going to sit here. You need us. So for me, I don't think this will be about Woodward or Matt Judge ruining this. It would just be a case of Dortmund trying to squeeze out as much as they can. But as it stands right now, they've got barely any bargaining tools. They've got barely any leverage against Manchester United. And I don't think long. Honestly, within a couple of weeks, as it stands right now, I think we'll see one of those Twitter announcements where it will just be a bit of a video like Timo Werner, or a little bit of a, like nothing major. It will just be like a tweet from both clubs saying an agreement has been put in place. I think there'll be something along those lines in the next couple of weeks with the way things are standing right now. And I truly hope that that's to be the case. I really, really do. I really, really do. How good, just finally before we end, how good are Man United going to be with him in the team?
I think they'll be obviously up their level a little bit. I think we needed that right-hand side for a very long time. He offers that directness and also a little bit of that IQ that we've been missing with Dan James. And also, he's just going to bring a lot more creativity to the side in terms of Martial or whoever plays that striking role. So I do think we'll score more goals. And the more goals we score, the more wins and the more W's that we get.
Totally agree. Listen, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Everyone who's tuned in, hit the like and share button. We'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.